Welcome to the 2026 Downtown Council Annual Luncheon. And thank you for your commitment to making downtown Kansas City one of the best downtowns in all of America. You are the leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, and community champions who make our downtown thrive. We're truly grateful to have you here as we celebrate the energy, growth, and spirit that define our city. Downtown is so much more than landmark buildings and great gathering places. It's the inspiration of the iconic historic Jazz District at 18th and Vine. It's the incredible River Market that has been a center of culture and commerce for over 200 years. It's the Crossroads Art District that showcases the work of our talented Kansas City creators. And it's the authentic flavor of the food and the people of Southwest Boulevard and the West Side. What makes downtown Kansas City special is the way it brings all of these things together, creating opportunity, connection, and stronger heartbeat for our entire city. We have been sharing what makes downtown Kansas City special with national and international visitors for a long time, thanks to our jazz heritage, our museums, and of course, our world-famous barbecue. This summer is extra special because we will welcome the world with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as a host of the FIFA Men's World Cup. That experience will set the stage for the next chapter of downtown revitalization, a collection of new, open spaces that we too experience over the next few years that will change our city's perception of engaging with the public realm. That's the theme of today's luncheon: welcoming the world and building on our legacy. Today we'll recognize individuals who pour their hearts into making downtown Kansas City better every day. We'll reflect on how far we've come, look ahead to where we're going, and highlight the work shaping Kansas City into a place we're all proud to call home. The Downtown Council exists to connect us, inspire us, and move forward a shared vision of a vibrant, inclusive, and dynamic downtown. Today you'll hear stories of progress and challenges, and leave with a renewed sense of what's possible when we come together. We have so much to celebrate, and even more exciting future ahead. Your lunch today has been prepared by the fabulous chefs at Lowe's. You can find the menu inside your program, and please feel free to begin eating at your leisure as we continue. Now it's time to thank the people and organizations who have made this annual tradition possible. Thank you to our gold sponsors, Blue KC, J.E. Dunn, and Burns & McDonnell. And to our silver sponsors that you see on the screen. We appreciate the support of all of our sponsors, listed on the centerpiece at your table, as well as the organizations that participated in our Spirit of Downtown exhibit before the luncheon, showcasing new developments, businesses, and cultural opportunities in downtown Kansas City. Let's give them all a round of applause. Our elected officials set the vision for our community, and we're very fortunate to have many of them here with us today. We know that local elections matter, and your leadership is invaluable to our efforts. Will all of our elected officials please stand and be recognized? I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize a key individual to our success this past year. As it is tradition at this event, we recognize our past board chair, Mr. Gib Kerr. Absolutely. Gib, thank you for your leadership last year and for your continued engagement on the board. We're honored to present this to you as a small token of our appreciation. And it's now my privilege to introduce, thank you, Gib, appreciate it. And it is now my privilege to introduce our mayor, Mayor Quentin Lucas. Absolutely.
See you, man.
Likewise, Mayor. Take care.
Well, good day, Kansas City. How y'all doing today? Do we feel all right? Is it a good time to be in Kansas City? I want to let you know I am honored to be with you. And every day we do lots of work at City Hall that is important to the future of our city. In many ways, we always have to walk and chew gum, take care of everyday basic services, and sometimes we hit a home run. I want to ask my colleagues on the City Council who were able to join me as a co-sponsor for our ordinance relating to bringing downtown baseball to Kansas City to join me on stage. Please come on up, all of you, and let's give them a round of applause. I promised Downtown Council I will be quick, but I want to make sure you get to know everyone, and I got you, Mayor Pro Tem. We have, coming from my left, Councilman Eric Bunch, Councilwoman Andrea Boo, Councilman Wes Rogers, Councilwoman Lindsay French, Councilman Darrell Curls, the birthday boy, Councilman Kevin O'Neill, Councilman Crispin Rea, and the Mayor Pro Tem of Kansas City, Raina Park Shaw. So it is an honor to be back with you, particularly off of a successful week for Kansas City, as our voters, thanks to many of you, once again affirmed their support for the important work we are doing at City Hall to address the basics in services, safety, and quality of life, while building a city ready to welcome and host the world. With warmer weather in the air and baseball back in town, I've been thinking back to one of my greatest memories in life and as a Kansas Citian. November 3rd, 2015, as the Royals celebrated a World Series through the streets of downtown. By a show of hands, how many of you were there for the Royals World Series celebration in 2015? Give yourselves a round of applause for the good times we had. How many of you can remember the Kansas City that came together? We looked different, we came from all over the region, we had different jobs, different incomes, but downtown, as we see every day, and our region came together to celebrate and to share the best of Kansas City, our team, our people, our region, and our success. Beyond the management of Ned Yost and the outstanding play of players like Alex Gordon, Eric Hosmer, Lorenzo Cain, and Salvador Perez, the backdrop of that special day in November of 2015 when we came together was visionaries like the many of you in this room today, who dreamed for a brighter future downtown. People like Warren Erdman, who we'll hear from later today. When I was a kid growing up in Kansas City, Union Station, the gorgeous setting for that day was in disrepair, closed to all but a tiny Amtrak station. But downtown business and government leaders and our region came together to change the trajectory of Union Station and our city. Resurrecting Kansas City's front porch that now welcomes millions of visitors is a stage for Kansas City's greatest events, and is a photographed icon showing the greatness of our region. Looking across the street, the Liberty Memorial of the time, telling the history of our world and the role of Kansas Cityans within it, saw deterioration to the point of closure. Once again, Kansas City visionaries saw the importance of investment in our downtown that could catapult a region, helping us restore the memorial and building the unmatched National World War I Museum and Memorial, bringing history, memorable experiences from Chapel Roan to the FIFA Fan Fest, from marriage proposals to everyday walks in the park, for millions of visitors in Kansas City and beyond. And as a kid, my mother used to take me to a bookstore in the Lincoln Building in the historic 18th and Vine area, which at the time was all too underinvested in and all too ignored. At the time, Buck O'Neill was not a rare sight to those in the area, and he would regale a kid or his mother or anyone willing to listen about what would come to be. Museums celebrating our baseball, jazz, and cultural heritage. A community in which I'd later live that shows the preeminent role our city played in creating opportunity for Black Americans and building the brand of Kansas City and downtown Kansas City the whole world over. Our list of visionaries and visions goes on, including the Hall family's dream turned reality in Crown Center, the unyielding growth of Hospital Hill, the vision for a new arena complex in the heart of downtown, and our re-embrace of the river, first at the river market of the 1990s and at the riverfront of today. Kansas City has hit the ball out of the park when we, as visionaries, strengthen the beating heart of our region and downtown Kansas City, and today is no different. Yesterday, I was joined by my colleagues who joined me on stage to introduce legislation that, if successful, will bring the Kansas City Royals to a new home in the area of Washington Square Park and Crown Center in downtown Kansas City. The project, with a current estimated price, I love that celebration from the downtown folk over there. The current price, estimated at $1.9 billion of investment into our city's workers, our businesses, and our downtown, will deliver tens of thousands of guests and 81 additional nights a year. But it will also have more than 300 days per year of year-round engagement, tourist activity, and conference, concert, and special event activation. On game days and beyond, those visitors will do more than drive in and drive out. They will spend money at our restaurants and taverns, explore our art galleries and museums. They'll be part of the workspaces nearby, which will be places unmatched by any current or planned commercial investment in our region. And for their adjacency to transit, 19,000 existing parking spaces close to the stadium site and travel corridors nearby. You will see more exceptional amenities, restaurants, entertainment, and activation downtown than you have ever seen before. The new Royals Stadium will be not just a stadium development, but when completed, it will be the largest single economic development project in the history of downtown Kansas City. And its funding will reflect that, as the city, working with Governor Mike Kehoe, our County Executive Phil Lavoda, our state and other partners, will build a fair model of public-private partnership with the Royals, not issuing taxes across an entire city, county, or state, but instead capturing economic activity in the district itself to support the development and to help our team, our local businesses, and Kansas City workers with success on and off the field. As part of our park system, community benefits will run to our parks in every corner of the city, ensuring that the stadium benefits workers from across our city, but also kids and families seeing new playgrounds, ball fields, pools, and recreation in every end of the city, including Councilman Curl's beloved Southeast Kansas City. With our legislation authorizing the foundational terms of our deal with the Royals, which will be before City Council next week, our long discussion of baseball can soon come to a conclusion that is a crowning accomplishment for our city, our team, and our people. And as we built that partnership, Downtown Council, we need you. Competition remains, both near and far. But we're Kansas City. And like our teams in 1985 and 2015 that dispatched the Cardinals and the Mets, we know when the bases are loaded, there's a whole lot of pressure on us. That's when we'll thrive. When you leave today, I ask you to share, to sing, to shout, and to signal your support for the Royals in Kansas City and the Royals downtown. I ask you that you remind people that while we're proud of the progress we've made since the 1990s downtown, we won't stop building the downtown Kansas City that is the envy of all others nationwide. I ask that you let people know that every dollar spent downtown reverberates citywide for job and tax-based growth, residential population attraction, and more investment in Kansas City and our region. And I ask you to engage with every Kansas Citian about their greatest memories downtown, like many of ours just down the street at the celebration in 2015. Perhaps it was their first show at the music hall, a late night at the Mutual Musicians Foundation, seeing their team win at the T-Mobile Center at Kemper Arena, getting to build a great friendship with a restaurateur downtown whose livelihood is based on filled buildings and full events downtown. And what I always note now, with a year and a half, a little bit less than that left in this job, is that I won't be the mayor forever, but I will be a dad of two amazing kids, now ages 5 and 2. I think often about the Kansas City we can build for them. I think of catching transit with them into the core of our city to see a game, to support full businesses along the way, to see the best of downtown life and the people of all cultures that are in our city, and the opportunity to build new traditions. I think of a connection, particularly across southern downtown, that connects the east side, where I spent most of my life, and the outstanding businesses and cultural institutions, including an expanded Negro Leagues baseball museum at the historic Paseo YMCA. And I think of that connection through the baseball district of Washington Square Park and Crown Center to the cultural life and community of Kansas City's west side. I think of taking my boys to opening day at the new Royals Stadium in Washington Square Park and Crown Center in the spring of 2020. And I note this, that we don't have a lot of time and we have a whole lot of work to do. The first step is getting approval to proceed and working with the Royals to make sure our dreams come true. I thank you, Downtown Council. I thank you, Bill. I thank all of you for your help in getting us here this far. I thank you for the thousands of Kansas Citians who will have jobs not just on the project, or the 1,000 who will work at the stadium each night, but the thousands more who will build the site following our rules to ensure that all can participate. And I thank each of you in this room, year after year, over decades, over generations, in believing in the future of downtown. Let's go downtown, let's go Kansas City, and let's go Royals. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you again, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager Mario Vasquez for your leadership in making this happen. It's a tremendous honor for all of us in Kansas City to be able to celebrate with that announcement with you here today. Now it is my honor to present the Harvey Freed Award. The Harvey Freed Award is named for the longtime champion of downtown who passed away in 2019. Harvey was a gentle giant in downtown and a beloved friend of the Downtown Council and the Community Improvement Districts. He was a founding member of the Downtown CID Board of Directors, serving in that role from 2002, including board secretary in his last year of service. This recognition honors outstanding service, leadership, esprit de corps, compassion for others, and above all else, kindness by our downtown and River Market CID ambassadors. Today, I am pleased to present the Harvey Freed Award to the CID Ambassador of the Year, Justin Tatum. Yeah. Justin has been a part of the Downtown and River Market Community Improvement District for 15 years. Beginning his journey in the fall of 2008, Over the years, he has taken on a variety of important roles, including security officer, dispatcher, and communities manager. For the last 3 years, he has served as the road warrior supervisor. And in each position, he has demonstrated commitment and leadership. A Kansas City native, Justin takes great pride in being part of the city's continued growth and revitalization. Please join me in recognizing Justin for his years of dedication, his outstanding service, and his continued commitment to our community. Congratulations, Justin. There you go. Once again, congratulations, Justin. It is now my pleasure to introduce Vice President of Philanthropy and Alumni Engagement at Kansas City University and Chair of the Awards Committee, Jennifer Ingraham.
Thank you, Jason. It is now my privilege to introduce the 2026 class of Urban Hero honorees. Downtown Kansas City thrives because of its urban heroes, dedicated individuals and businesses whose vision and energy shape our community. Since 2005, we've honored 116 trailblazers, many of whom are with us today. These inspiring figures continue to uplift downtown every day. Our past heroes have established an impressive legacy to follow. And this year, we proudly welcome 6 more heroes whose passion, creativity, and commitment make downtown a vibrant place to live, work, and grow. The future of our downtown is certainly bright, thanks to our urban heroes. Now let's take a moment to meet each of them. Please join me in welcoming your 2026 Urban Heroes. Bethany Alzanada, Dulcinea Herrera, Bruce Holloway, Rob and Deborah Ryman, and Courtney Thomas. Thank you for the amazing work you do for our city. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, your 2026 Urban Heroes.
Thank you, Jennifer. The Kirk Award honors leaders whose vision, guidance, and commitment help shape a stronger, more resilient community and a vibrant, inclusive downtown Kansas City. Its namesake, J. Philip Kirk Jr., represented these qualities in both his personal and professional life. The 2026 Kurt Award proudly recognizes Warren Erdman for his vision, leadership, contributions, and deep commitment to Kansas City.
I don't say this often, but it is a true honor and privilege to share the stage with Jason and pay tribute to Warren's profound legacy in our community. I've had the pleasure and honor to work alongside Warren on the Downtown Council for over 20 years. I can personally attest to his unparalleled impact on our revitalization efforts. Warren, thank you so much for everything. Your fingerprints are on everything we do. We simply would not be where we are today without your unwavering commitment to downtown Kansas City. Warren has been a quiet yet powerful architect of downtown Kansas City's successful resurgence. His approach has always been marked by thoughtful, intentional strategies focused on building community and growing our economy. He operates with the fundamental understanding that our state, city, and downtown cannot afford to be complacent, resting on past achievements. They must be constantly moving forward, embracing risk, and investing in the future. This forward-looking perspective was instrumental in the early 2000s when Warren helped establish the Downtown Political Action Committee. This initiative enabled us to align our legislative priorities with the city, with regional chambers of commerce, with the economic development corporations, and many other regional stakeholders. The result was the formation of an organized Western political coalition, a Kansas City caucus, which profoundly shifted the political dynamic with our state government and has fostered a new, effective sense of unity, leading to a long list of legislative successes over the years. Warren's legacy is clearly visible in numerous accomplishments, including championing state legislation to empower local development, guiding key projects such as the Union Station restoration and the streetcar starter line development, and establishing the Regional Transit Alliance, as well as serving as an essential corporate steward for downtown's recovery. The successful revitalization of downtown is a direct testament to Warren's leadership and his steadfast faith in Kansas City.
Our theme today is welcoming the world, building on our legacy. And I know you agree with me that Warren defines this message. Please turn your attention to the video screens. would you please join me in congratulating Warren Erdman as the 2026 J. Philip Kirk Jr. Award recipient?
Yay. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, my. Well, my goodness. Hey, thanks everybody in the room for being here. I really appreciate it. Jason, thank you. Thanks to the Phil Kirk Nominating Committee. Really never expected this, but I'm highly honored. You know, I knew Phil Kirk, and I knew what a stalwart of downtown he was, so it's a little humbling for me, frankly, to receive the award that carries his name, but I couldn't be more honored. Honestly, I feel like this recognition belongs to everybody in the room. We wouldn't have the downtown we have today without the efforts of all of you, so it really belongs to everyone. And I feel like teamwork is something that we're missing somewhat in society today, so I couldn't be more grateful to have been one teammate in a bigger team effort. I want to especially call out the work that Bill Dietrich, Sean O'Byrne, and Ann Holliday have exercised in their role at the Downtown Council. I got to see it personally, and I can tell you that these people, yes, these are the people who really deserve our recognition. They're the ones who guided this incredible renaissance, and without their persistence, we might not be where we are today. I also want to express my gratitude to my colleagues on the Downtown Council Board for your focused leadership. I'm happy to have been a pretty small part of that effort. I also want to recognize those who continue the effort, among them Kevin Barth and all the work that he's doing to address homelessness. I can't think of a more important and compassionate role than what Kevin is leading on that. I want to recognize the Merriman family and their team. They've always been here for downtown every time, every single thing that came up, and we greatly appreciate their leadership. Of course, the mayor, city council, stepping up to be public servants and doing these kinds of things that we witnessed yesterday are critically important, and thanks to you for that. I also want to call out my friend and former boss, Mike Haverty. Mike Haverty back here was CEO at Kansas City Southern. He, in great part, allowed me to play the role that I'm recognized for today. And of course, I want to recognize John Sherman and the Royals. We greatly need their leadership. You know, I'm one member of the Missouri team that worked to keep the Royals and the Chiefs, but to keep them in Missouri. And for the Royals, I am aware of what they need from the Highway Department. We are deeply reviewing those needs, and I can tell you last week we began working on a plan to fund them, as expensive as they might be. You can rest assured we are going to make sure the highway improvements that are needed are in fact provided. Let me just end, because I've been waiting for this opportunity for some time, but I want to again give special thanks to Sean O'Byrne. When I was in Israel with the governor, I was being flooded with emails about the NFL draft and all the trash on the highways. And I leaned over to the governor and I said, "Hey, Governor, what are we going to do about this?" And he looked at me and said, "I don't know, what are you going to do about it?" At that moment, I realized that maybe we had a job to do. Who did I contact from Jerusalem but none other than Sean O'Byrne? I asked him to put a proposal together that we could fund at MoDOT that would get things cleaned up and ready for the NFL draft. And that's just one example of what Sean has done. Now we're doing the same in advance of the World Cup. It's just as important. And it just seems like every time there's a need, Sean is there. If you ask me, he might be Kansas Cityan of the decade. So I want to thank Sean. Let me just end by saying congratulations to everyone in the room. What you have accomplished together to bring our beloved downtown back to life is going to change generations. You're to be recognized and congratulated for that teamwork, and I'm proud to have been but a small contribution to our success. Thank you very much.
Great job. Warren, Warren, thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for everything you've done for Kansas City. Your incredible journey continues. We all are beneficiaries of your legacy. Again, congratulations. Building on today's theme and our shared commitment to community growth, we are excited to highlight several key revitalization and transformative initiatives and how we plan on connecting it all together. We are joined by our good friend, Kyle Talbot, whom Mayor Lucas appointed as the official hype man of Kansas City. Be sure to follow Kyle online for updates on projects across our region. Kyle, thank you and your team for the incredible energy and vision that helped create this year's video. Please turn your attention to the video screens. Again, thank you, Kyle. It is amazing how much things have changed over time. I sometimes forget just how far we've come. It's good to see downtown through different eyes, like a new visitor to town for the very first time. For example, my better half, Kate, and I had a wonderful experience going to KC Current's opening day. Thank you, Ben, if you're out there. It was a wonderful experience. It proved to be a distinctly urban and cosmopolitan experience that I highly recommend. The match was exciting and the experience was rewarding. We chose to park at our offices downtown at 10th and Walnut and walk to the CPK Stadium. Our route took us through the lively River Market, across the town of Kansas Bridge, pedestrian bridge, onto the Riverfront Heritage Trail, which will be the north link of the Green Line, and through Berkeley Riverfront Park to the stadium. First off, we were far from alone. There were we were joined by hundreds and hundreds of fans who also made that walk. The River Market was buzzing with excitement, with energy, and we enjoyed stopping at several of the stalls and vendors along the way. Once on the riverfront, we saw young people, hundreds of them, residents and guests, playing on the new beach volleyball courts that were built on the riverfront. We checked out the impressive streetcar terminal under construction, Tom, which is really cool. It's going to be a real destination to itself. We chatted with fans at the Two Birds with One Stone brew pub. Couldn't get a seat. And observed work creating new riverfront connections, points, and new amenities coming online. The best part, for me, was the walkability, strolling through vibrant, activated public spaces, a striking difference from 2 decades ago. This experience perfectly embodies the Downtown Council's mission. Our staff, board, and partners work to ensure downtown Kansas City is a clean, safe, and vibrant community where people want to live, work, invest, shop, learn, play, and do business. The future of our downtown is indeed bright. We highlighted several key projects, including Current Landing and the exciting development along the Missouri River, as well as the incredible enhancements and new investment taking place at the 18th and Vine Jazz District, historic Jazz District. Work is also advancing on the impressive 800 grand development, which includes a new music venue called the U Music. Samara Road continues to do amazing things in the West Bottoms, creating an urban neighborhood, and the recently announced master plan for Children's Mercy's hospital campus expansion and reinvestment in our downtown, an incredible investment. Collectively, these major investments represent over $4 billion of new capital in our marketplace. Growing our economic engine increases the city's tax base, providing civic leaders with more resources to invest in our neighborhoods. Greater downtown and our vibrant neighborhoods' fates are connected. It's a strategic, holistic approach to building our economy and a stronger, healthier neighborhoods. It's a partnership. Wow. What can I say? How can I add to the mayor's remarks? Except that we sincerely thank you, Mayor Lucas, and the City Council for your courage and leadership that brought us to this milestone moment. Thank you so much. Many thanks also go to City Manager Mary Vasquez and his dedicated team for the many hours that they've invested working diligently to achieve this outcome. Thank you, Mario, and everyone. You know, I also want to acknowledge members of the Downtown Council who have kept this dream alive for many years. Before I do that, I also want to thank the Kansas City Royals helping bring Mr. Sherman's vision to a reality. We really appreciate all that you're doing for our community. Want to acknowledge members of the Downtown Council who have kept this dream alive, including past chairs, John Kopaken, Jerry Riffle, Gib Kerr, Nate Orr, Dr. Kimberly Beatty, Lynn Carlton. We've been keeping this alive for many, many, many years, and thank you all for your leadership. And many others who have been and remain engaged in this effort to bring downtown baseball. The legacy we are building is not just about physical assets. We're creating a downtown where talent intersects with opportunity. These projects will enhance the built environment and, even more importantly, create new ways for people to interact. From experiencing the expanded Negro Leagues Baseball Museum to enjoying a concert at the U Music Hotel venue, downtown will soon become even more creative, engaging, and welcoming to everyone. Making up less than 2% of Kansas City's landmass, downtown remains the most concentrated hub of economic activity. Today, 33,000+ residents call Greater Downtown home. Last year, over 7.2 million unique visitors enjoyed our amenities, with more to come. We host a third of the city's jobs, 40% of all hotel rooms. A quarter of all the city's businesses are located here, and we generate over a fifth of the city's tax base. This firmly cements Greater Downtown as the economic engine for Kansas City and the region. The draw to downtown will only increase as we introduce several new outdoor public spaces and experiences. The next chapter of our legacy is to seize every opportunity, from the amazing riverfront developments to the FIFA World Cup, to create new, activated, exciting, and vibrant public spaces for the benefit of all of our citizens and for future generations. Truly a legacy. We believe these investments grow our economy and are the foundation of the city's future. Public space activation through programming, design, intentional experiences bring people together, drive economic activity and community connections. The bottom line is that we increase the return on our public investment. We're investing in our future. It is now time for a conversation between our guest speaker, Carol Coletta, and Downtown Council Vice President Ann Holliday. For more than 30 years, Ann has worked with the Downtown Council and its diverse partners to shape a vibrant, inclusive, and thriving urban environment. Ann is the Vice President of our strategic initiatives and serves as the Executive Director of the Art in the Loop Foundation. She's a community-focused leader whose work centers on strengthening downtown Kansas City through strategic collaborations, arts and cultural initiatives, community engagement, and public space activation, always with a focus on connections, balance, and long-term impact. Please welcome to the stage Ann Holliday. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bill. It's an honor to work with you and to have been working with you and so many of the people in this room in the service of downtown Kansas City. Now I'm pleased to introduce Carol Coletta, a nationally recognized urbanist and civic leader known for her work on revitalizing cities and strengthening communities through smart, people-centered design. Most recently, she was recognized for her transformative impact on urban environments with the 2025 ULI Prize for Visionaries in Urban Development. She's held influential roles, including president and CEO of the Memphis River Parks Partnership, and has been a key voice at organizations such as the Knight Foundation, where she focused on community development and public spaces. Carol has a special knack for bringing together government, nonprofits, and local residents to reimagine how cities can be more vibrant, inclusive, and livable. Let's welcome Carol to the stage.
All right, are you ready to read this?
Mm-hmm. All right. Carol and I are going to discuss the power of our public spaces, where people come from different walks of life, come together, where interaction is encouraged, a sense of safety is created, and the result is community vibrancy and an enhanced quality of life. We want everyone to understand the legacy we are creating in downtown. There are groundbreaking and ground-making events underway. When this conversation ends, we want you to be inspired to help engage with us, become a community partner, join the Downtown Council, or invest in the nonprofit efforts we have established to support these initiatives. So let's go to it. Carol, Downtown Kansas City is thriving and has become a magnet for real estate investment. We're thriving despite the headwinds of remote work and in-home entertainment and food delivery. What are some of the keys for downtown Kansas City to continue thriving in the future?
Well, you are thriving, and our walk yesterday was really impressive. So, and this, what's coming is really breathtaking. In fact, just, I hope everybody in this room will just take a moment and really appreciate what you have built and what is to come, because I know the people in this room are the ones responsible for that, and it is really magnificent. I get a chance to be in different cities every week and see what they're doing and be with people like you, working very hard to rebuild their downtowns and make them really the heartbeat of their cities. And you have done a magnificent job here. So very well done, Kansas City. You would think, there are a lot of pressures on downtowns, and with remote work and remote entertainment and remote food, but people still need people. And, when people are together, it's the way opportunity circulates, innovation accelerates. It's the way trust is built. It's what democracy is built on. And when downtowns are most exciting is when there are people visible, lots of people doing all kinds of things. Bill described it. They're entertaining, they're being entertained, they're working, they're living, they're out walking their dogs, they're going to ball games. That's when you feel that you're part of the human race, when you're with people. And we underestimate the value of that today, being live. I love the fact that the generation now is putting away their devices and knitting together and playing mahjong and all kinds of things just to step back from the digital world and to re-enter the human race, because I think that's what makes us, it's what buoys us. And if you think about what people, how do you create a lot of people in downtown Kansas City? You do it with the assets that you've built and that you're building. You do it with the work of clean, green, and safe. We heard that today. You do it with density and exciting storefronts that keep people moving. You do it by building the assets that are coming online here very quickly. So and the streetcar, you join it all up, right? Make it easy to get from one thing to another so that people are really seeing not just work productivity, but life productivity. I was reading an article, some of you may have read it in the current issue of the Harvard Business Review. I was reading it this morning, and Richard Florida and colleagues were writing about the notion of return on place, which I thought was really this measurement framework of return on place, and that would look at how effectively a location enables collaboration, reduces friction, and strengthens culture. And I think those are good guidelines for thinking about what you build in the future and making sure that every project you consider is performing on those metrics. And just one of the major points in the article, which I think really argues for a dynamic downtown, is that we can't simply think about work productivity. We have to think about life productivity, and the two of those together. And so they're reconceiving the notion of where we work as knowledge campuses. And in a lot of ways, that's what you're building downtown with this great mixed-use, vibrant place. So I think the direction is absolutely the right one.
Oh, great. So let's talk a little bit more about mixed-use developments. We're building them here in downtown for the people of our city who will live, work, play, and learn in them. But the buildings themselves don't make the city interesting, as you've just indicated. They merely set the stage. Activated public places where people interact with each other, creating cultural experiences. They're essential for healthier communities. As we all saw in the video, we're working to create those spaces. The Green Line, Barney Alice Plaza, Luminary Park, the Rock Island Bridge, 18th and Vine Pedestrian Plaza, the West Bottoms. Whew, I have to take a breath, there's so many. Berkeley Riverfront Park, and now a new downtown ballpark. I think some people may wonder about the value of these great spaces we are building. We're spending a lot of money on them. So let's talk a little more about the return on investments and what we can expect to the return to the community on these great new spaces.
Well, it's very easy to make the case for investments like those in terms of their economic impact, and that's been talked about today, so I won't make it again, but that's very real. They also have a great deal to do with community identity, and that is very real. The way Kansas City will be remembered is by what it builds in its downtowns. And then you think about specifically the parks you're building and the trail to connect everything, which is great. That is social infrastructure. For a city, right? Parks and green spaces, trails, that's social infrastructure. And again, it goes back to people need people. People need people for lots of good reasons. There's a professor at the University of Chicago named Nick Epley. And Nick did some really interesting work around strangers, meeting strangers. And no one thought they would enjoy it. He assigned his students to go onto L trains in Chicago and speak to strangers. And they all thought, oh, brother, what have I signed up for? This is not the class for me, because they all thought it would be an awful experience. Well, what happened is the people who spoke to strangers reported real happiness, and the people to whom they spoke also reported being happy, but the people who spoke, right, first, they were happier even than the people they spoke to. That sounds so ridiculous, but if you think about it, in a lot of ways, a good downtown is kind of a happiness machine, and you hold the key. It's about speaking to strangers and just getting that sense of we're all in this together. I think it is, and the spaces you're building, the parks, put that on steroids, right? It's more likely to happen in a fun and casual space that's flexible, like a park, versus on the city streets. So that's equally important to the economic impact.
I love that because, Kansas City is the kind of place where you actually smile and say hi or nod at anyone you see on the street. So I think that's a real characteristic of our town.
But do you say hello in an elevator? That's the real test.
I don't, because I'm kind of scared that I'm in the elevator at all.
Okay, you get a pass.
But you mentioned social infrastructure and parks. And, a lot of people think about parks as wide open spaces. In our town, you might think of Loose Park or some of the parks out in the suburbs with baseball fields. But let's talk about what an urban park is like. Can you kind of talk about what's the difference between an urban public space and a larger park?
Yeah, well, a lot of parks that we build, it's interesting. Gale Architects developed a framework thinking about how to classify parks as hubs, havens, and hangouts. And havens tended to be in neighborhoods. And so when you go to a haven, you bring your full self. You're with people, the homophily kicks in, with people who are like you. Hangouts are less formal places, but hubs, I think of what you're building downtown. Hubs transcend neighborhoods, and that's a deep part of their value. I could say a lot more about this, but I won't go off into my wonky land, but But trust me on this, it's a big part of creating opportunity to have hubs, and that's what a good urban park does. It's more heavily programmed. It's used in more day parts, so it has to be flexible, and the program needs to be really smart so that you can serve all of those different audiences at different times. But when they really sing is when you've got lots of different people, not just coexisting, but really cooperating and collaborating and having a good time together. That's when they're at their best.
Yeah, I love that, and especially cooperating and collaborating, because that's what we have to do to actually build the park.
Yes.
So, and then also to activate and manage the park. And I know one thing we were talking here in Kansas City is about nonprofit organizations managing some of these public spaces. And when you were the CEO of the Memphis River Parks Partnership, you all had a nonprofit management model there, right?
We do. So I was the accidental riverfront parks director for 7 years in Memphis. I was a Kresge Senior Fellow in the American Cities practice, and I got loaned to this organization, and then, like a lot of people in public service, right, you get seduced and you want to stay, but because it's very satisfying. We were a 501c3. We managed 5 miles of public property along the riverfront, and our ethos, our value was we're creating a riverfront for all, and we meant that, and we lived into it. And I think the value of it, we raised I mean, your numbers astonish me. Well done. But we raised about $120 million when I was there. And there's several advantages to building and managing, I think, as a 501c3 or 501c6. I think you're a C6 as you are. One, you can hold the vision longer than most political terms because these things take time to germinate and raise money and then build and then manage over time. So I think that's an advantage. I also believe sometimes you are able, because of the constraints on government, sometimes you can't build as ambitiously as you would like to build, design and build as ambitiously as you could with an organizational structure that's more flexible. Also, it's very few people, they think, okay, I pay the government with my tax dollars. I don't want to pay the government again with my philanthropic dollars or with my, sponsorship money because it's just going to go into some big pool and I don't know where it will go. I think that it also feels a little more secure in a nonprofit organization. It's interesting, the Highline Network, which is a collection of 46 projects all around the country, similar to the ones you're going to build. They're all ambitious. They're all in hub locations. Not one of them was built or is managed by government. And I think for the reasons I just named. So you've got a lot of good company to have these assets developed and managed privately, but with the public interest at heart. And the day you forget the public interest is the day you don't deserve to manage them any longer. So keeping that front and center, and you and I were talking earlier, Ann, about the need to rent space, right? Rent the park space for revenue generation, because you've got to keep these things maintained and operated and safe and secure and green, and all of that costs money, and it does. But you can't ever let rentals and the private rentals get in the way of public use. And I think that will always be a tension with these spaces that we're so happy are great enough to generate revenue, because it helps all of us with their upkeep, and we all want to see good assets maintained. But you have to be cautious about giving too many days away or too much time away for private use.
Yeah, and I think that's what part of what you really said that's really important, public-private partnership. And that's what the Downtown Council is made from. That's why we have a room full of the public and the private sector today. And it kind of leads to my next question, which is about inclusive placemaking and civic spaces. You know, we're talking about developing what we call program partners for our new public spaces, which would be nonprofits and small businesses that can program Barney Alice Plaza and Luminary Park with activations ranging from yoga classes to field trips. And you know, what's your experience with partnering with these organizations? Do you think will they help us keep the public in mind?
Well, they are the public, right? They are community organizations, they're nonprofits, they emerge from the community. As you said, partnerships are always a plus. I don't think you can ever think that it's going to make your role a whole lot easier because you still have to coordinate. Someone still has to hold the vision for the space. But it's always great when you can work with community partners. It's good for them. They grow their audience, they grow their market, they grow their exposure, and you get the variety and the multiple points of view that make the space interesting. So it's always great to have that.
Right. Well, let's talk about another way we can activate space, which is with art. You know, art is a great connector, has a huge impact on public spaces. Art in the Loop, program I helped develop and run, and yes, we're taking donations. Art in the Loop commissions local artists to activate downtown Kansas City each summer. You know, we exhibit art on the streetcar shelters and streetcars and murals, accompanied with performance series. And the city has an incredible 1% for Art program that helps activate our many spaces. Public art's so important, aesthetics, urban design, engagement. You know, based on your experience, how does public art increase the value of public spaces?
You know, it's funny, one of the, in the last park I built called Tom Lee Park, one of the best things we did was use the art to drive the narrative about the park's namesake. This park was named for a man, Tom Lee, who in 1925 saved 39 people from drowning in the Mississippi River. He was black, they were white. He was a skiff boat operator on the Mississippi River, and they were engineers. So they were very different in all sorts of ways. And there's a long story about the park's naming that you don't want to hear, but we used the art to tell his story, and we used sculpture. There was one realistic sculpture that we had inherited of him saving someone. The Astor Gates, multi-talented artist based in Chicago, did a piece for us called A Monument to Listening, which was also in honor of Tom Lee. We used poetry and spoken word that we commissioned every year about the story. So one of the things that art did for us was drove a narrative about the place that was just another layer of ways people could, it was another layer of value on the place we made. And I think art is particularly good at that. I just want to say a couple of other things about it. Art can, not always, but can really invite participation, which is one of the most important things I believe public space can do, is inviting people to participate together. And the informal arts, I mean, not just art on a pedestal, but the informal arts, let's dance together, let's skate together, let's sing together, we've done it all, and Tom Lee, and those were some of them. We paraded together. We made parade objects. Yeah, that was fun. We made these wonderful, you should see the images. We made these parade objects and then paraded through the park. I mean, and I say we, the community, made these parade objects and they made their own parade. But all of that was informal arts that brought people together and created across very different demographics, which I think is particularly valuable. So art can perform in ways that it's beautiful, it's provocative, it makes me think. It calms me down, or it revs me up. And I love all of that, but I think it also has such power around narrative and participation that I would just urge you, as you're thinking about your art program, to think broadly about those opportunities.
I love that. I think we have a lot to say and a lot to connect about. So, Carol, let me ask my last question. Kansas City is about to get a spotlight that most communities only dream about as one of the 10 host cities for the World Cup. This promises to be transformative for downtown and our region. So, welcome your thoughts about this opportunity and any other final thoughts you'd like to share.
Well, I heard the mayor speak, who I think gave the perfect speech. I told him, that was the perfect speech. Could I take you home? I didn't ask him that, but now I might ask him. But he talked about, ask you to raise your hands if you were at the 25?
2015.
2015. Oh, it's been so long ago. Hello, Royals, come on. So I know most teams never get there. That was only a joke. I love the Royals. But he asked people who had been there. Point is, I had a board member say this to me once, nostalgia is the most powerful hallucinogenic. So when people are on your streets celebrating their being at the World Cup, this sort of once-in-a-lifetime experience for a lot of people, or a ritual for others, they are going to remember Kansas City as the most vibrant, lively, fun place they've ever been. And they won't remember it just that night or the next day. They will remember it for the rest of their lives. And when someone asks them, okay, raise your hand if you were at, they will proudly raise their hand, and it will be one of the best memories of their lives. All you need to do is keep doing what you're doing, and then your role when they're here is to celebrate alongside them, say hello, make them feel great about being here and being among friends who want to celebrate alongside them. They will go home and they will think nothing but good thoughts about your city, and you will feel better as well because you will also have seen it at its most alive and its most enjoyed by people around the world. What could be better?
Thank you so much, Carol. I think we should all feel proud of the progress we're making as a community, from the riverfront and Current Landing to the future Green Line Recreational Trail, Rock Island Bridge, Barney Alice Plaza, Luminary Park, bridging the highway right outside these doors, exciting new downtown ballpark. This is happening right now. This is the foundation upon which we will build our tomorrow, our legacy for future generations. And now we need everyone's help. So will you join us in continuing to build a more welcoming, vibrant downtown today and for generations to come? Together, we can increase our investment in dynamic public spaces that make downtown Kansas City an exceptional place for all to live, work, play, and learn. So please scan the QR code on the screen or on the back of your program to learn how you can make an impact. As I said, you could join the Downtown Council and help us spread the word about downtown's revitalization. You can support our efforts to create more green spaces and public gathering places in the heart of Kansas City. You can invest in transformational projects like Luminary Park, the Green Line, the Beehive, which is our health and housing collective, Launch KC, and Art in the Loop, through financial contributions or program partnerships while you socialize these projects. Thank you, Carol, for sharing your insights today, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you to all those who worked tirelessly to make today and every day a tremendous success. I personally also want to take this time to thank my staff at Parson and Associates for allowing me the time. There you go. For allowing me to have the time to serve this forward-thinking organization. Look around. We have certainly come a long way over these past 20-plus years. Lastly, I want to thank you. Thank you all for attending today and for your continued support throughout the year. What an amazing time it is to be in Kansas City. I wish you blessings upon the new year, and we will see you next year. Take care.